Hey guys, April Melvin here, and today we are talking about salvation because, guys, I think we are getting this all wrong. All right, guys, before we get into the meat of the video, I want to take just a quick sec and ask that you guys please subscribe to my channel. I put out new content on Thursdays at 1 p.m., and they are all about faith and Christianity and Jesus and all of that stuff. So if that sounds like it interests you guys, please hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section if this video is helpful, and please give it a like and a share. All right. So I want to talk about salvation because, guys, I was talking with my youth, and of course the question of hell and heaven came up, and I asked the question, who goes to hell? And listen, this is my Sunday school youth. I talk to these guys about this a lot, so I expected them to regurgitate the exact thing that I wanted them to say, and instead somebody says, well, bad people go to hell. No, so many no's. And so that's why we're talking about this video. Guys, we're going to talk about salvation because I do think that we're getting it wrong. I think corporately, as our churches, we are just trying to rush the decision. We're trying to beef up the benefits of Christianity, and we really don't spend enough time talking about the genuine need and all of the different steps. So there are 3 steps to salvation. I've got 3 videos where we're going to look at it, and this is the first one that's looking at our admitting that we are sinners. Super unpopular, so I think this video is going to go over real well. All right, guys, we got to go straight to the scriptures. Go to Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. It says it right there. All of us, every single one of us have sinned. And this is the part that we do not spend enough time when we're talking about the salvation message. We gloss over that. It's more like, sin, yeah, but listen, let me tell you about Jesus and heaven, right? We go so far out of our way to not talk about this part. But guys, this is mission critical. If you don't get this first part, this need for a savior that every person has sinned, if you don't get that established, then you don't have the need of a savior. I hope that you guys caught that. If you don't need saving, you don't need a savior, right? If on your own, if you are righteous, if you are perfect, if you are holy enough to touch God, then Jesus didn't need to die on the cross for you. So until you can establish your need for a savior, you're never truly going to appreciate the sacrifice that he made at Calvary for you. That's why it's so important to do this. That's why it's so important to not just brush past this, right? But to marinate in this need. All have sinned. When Adam and Eve ate the fruit in the garden, sin entered the world, and every person born of Eve, and that's you and I, because we came from a woman, right? We were all born. Every single one of us was born into a sin nature. Every one of us has fallen short. Here's the challenge. The world is trying to convince you that you're not actually a sinner, that everything that you're going through and everything that you're feeling is perfectly okay, even though the word says otherwise. And here's what I mean by that. When we hear the word sinner, immediately what pops up into our brain are awful, evil people, right? They're the villains, they're the murderers, they're the thieves, and the people that are, heavily addicted to drugs or in gangs, right? We think of really, really bad people, or people we've labeled as bad. All right, guys, I need to interject just a quick sec because when I went back and watched the video, it made it sound like I thought that there were bad sins and there were, less bad sins, and, we all need Jesus, whether it's really bad or really, and guys, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that what happened in the garden, sin entered the world. And when that happened, at that point, every one of us, all of us born in this sin nature, need Jesus. Now, the world wants us to think that there are different layers of sin, right? There's the really bad stuff. That's what the world says. Like, this stuff is really, really bad. And then this stuff is kind of okay. And the reason why the world and Satan wants us to do that, again, is to keep us from recognizing that all of us All of us, because of the sin that we have in our life, needs Jesus. And so if what Satan can do, or if what the world can do, can convince us that we're kind of okay, right? Because comparatively, according to the standards of the world, there are people that are a lot worse, that are doing a lot worse than us. That's what the world says. Then if comparatively we are okay, then we won't seek that need for Jesus. And so I am not saying, and if there are some of you that watch this that have done some things that the world says are just terrible, horrible, that's not what Jesus says. Jesus came for all of us. And in the middle of our mess, he died for us because he loved us. So there's not things in our life that are so bad that cannot be redeemed by Jesus. But conversely, and this is what trips us up, right? There aren't things that the world says are kind of okay that are okay. And we need to all recognize the need for the Savior. I hope that I cleared that up a little bit better. All right, back to your regularly scheduled video. And most of us aren't murderers. Most of us don't deal with a lot of that really bad, evil stuff. And so when we think of sinners, we don't identify as that. So that's why we gloss over Romans 3:23, because we don't really think that it applies to us. We are good. For if you're in your 30s like me, like you get up, you go to work every morning, you pay your taxes, you obey the speed limit, like, right? Everything's fine. You're not a bad person, so you can't possibly be a sinner. But guys, let me tell you, first of all, the word says otherwise. The word says all of us are sinners. Not one of us is good enough, that the wages, in fact, of our sin equals death. That's what the word says. And so all of us are sinners. So what's a sin? You ever been jealous? You ever struggle with anger or bitterness? You ever stolen anything? Listen, as I told my youth, I've got a sweatshirt from one of my ex-college boyfriends that says, yeah, I've stolen things, right? Have you stolen anything? Have you lied? If you don't raise your hand for that question, you might as well raise it now because you lied just then, right? We've all done things. We have junk within us that, according to this word, is not good. It is sin. It puts us on the other side of righteousness. It makes us unrighteous. All of this junk. It's not just the bad stuff, the stuff that we have labeled as, unbelievably horrific, right? It's this stuff, the gossiping, the backbiting, the mean-spiritedness, those sorts of things. That's sin too. And all of us battles it. And what I would encourage you to do, even if you are saved, this is still a great exercise, right? Just take a moment and recognize that Romans 3:23, that applies to you too. It applied to you when you bent your knee, and it applies now. And listen, guys, do that because your need for a Savior is so important for your Christian walk. So guys, regardless of where you're at, maybe you've been walking with God for a really long time, but you never really have done this part. Maybe you've never really thought about what you were or your brokenness, right? Maybe you are witnessing to people that aren't believers yet. Or maybe you're being drawn in. Maybe you're on the fence. Maybe you've been examining this and you're trying to figure out, okay, what does salvation look like? This is the first step. And one of the most important steps is to really admit your need for a Savior. Because guys, you truly can't appreciate who Jesus is to you if you don't first recognize your need for him. I was talking to my youth and I said, guys, you wouldn't call the fire department if your house wasn't on fire, right? That'd be silly. It'd be silly to wake up one day and be like, I think I'm going to call 911 because maybe my house might be on fire. No, nobody's doing that, right? You will only call 911 when there's a need for them to show up. And that's the same thing here. You've got to recognize your need in order for you truly to accept the second step, the step of what Jesus did for you on the cross. So guys, I would encourage you to do this, or if you are witnessing, don't gloss past this. Coming to Jesus should be the most logical and rational thing that we do. We've turned it into more of an emotional thing. We've made it sort of a benefit sale, but guys, it's not, right? It starts though with this need. What is the need? The need is that you are a sinner, and on your own, by yourself, the wages of the sin that's in your life is death. Doesn't matter if it's the sin that you recognize is really bad or the sin that this is telling you it's all bad, it's all sin, and the wages for that is death. And so take some time, recognize your need. Guys, it is the firm foundation of your faith. All right, guys, so that is the first step in salvation. And guys, I would encourage you to really start studying the word on this and write in your journal and pray about this. This is such an important step. This is such an important moment in a believer's life. Guys, I think that's why Jesus, when he came back, he didn't go to the Sanhedrin. He didn't go to the head priests. He went to the people that would recognize their own brokenness because they would be more willing to accept him. And that's true of them then. It's true of us now. So guys, do not skip this step. And guys, if this video is helpful, please give it a like, give it a share. Let me know in the comment section. I would really appreciate that. And then come back next Thursday at 1 p.m. when the video will go live about that second step. And it is all about Jesus in that second step. Now that we've established our need for him, now we need to understand what our Savior did for us. Thanks, guys.